To begin, go to coralsprings.org. Click on Government. Click on Community Development under Other Departments and Services. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, there is a menu called Community Development. Click on Housing, and then click on Rental and Utility Assistance. You can also find a link to this page on the city's homepage. The City of Coral Springs is providing additional rental and utility assistance to eligible Coral Springs residents who have experienced a loss of income, reduction in hours, or unemployment as a direct result to COVID-19. Assistance will be provided for rent and past due utilities due beginning April 1st, 2020 through the month of December. Assistance will be paid directly to the landlord and utility companies, and assistance is limited to a maximum award of $10,000. Before we review the application, let's review the eligibility criteria to ensure you and your household are eligible before applying. The eligibility criteria requires that the applicant or member of the household whose name appears on the lease agreement between you and your landlord must have documentable information to prove loss of income or reduction of income as a direct result of COVID-19. The applicant must have an active lease, and the applicant's name must be listed on the lease agreement and utility bills. The applicant or household must not have received any other financial assistance for rent or utilities for the time frame payment is requested. The applicant's total gross annual household income cannot exceed 120% of the area median income. To determine if your household exceeds the maximum allowed annual income, combine the income of those in the household over the age of 18. That amount cannot exceed the amount listed that correlates with your household size. For example, if you have 2 adults in your home and 3 children under the age of 18, you have 5 persons in your household. Therefore, the combined income of the 2 adults cannot exceed the maximum amount. To access the application, please click here on the application link. The first page of the application outlines the instructions and required documents to be submitted with the application. Number 1, to complete this application, it is important that you print it single-sided. It is also important that you use blue or black ink only, and we ask that the information is legible. If you are not able to print this application, it will be available at City Hall October 19th through October 23rd. Number 2, incomplete applications will not be accepted. All questions must be answered, or please write NA if the question does not apply to you. Number 3, all requested documents must be submitted. Required documents will be further reviewed, but we will not be able to accept your application if all the required documentation is not provided. Number 4, we ask that you provide copies of the required documents, not originals, as we will not be able to make copies for you. If a resident does not provide the required copies, the application will not be accepted, and the resident will be asked to return once you have the copies available. It is best to avoid having to return, as funding is limited and provided on a first-come, first-ready, first-served basis. Number 5, only 1 application per household is accepted. However, household members 18 years or older must complete and sign the application where applicable. This includes all forms listed below, which are included in the application and require signatures. Number 6 is a list of required documents. These are the documents that must be copied and submitted along with the application. Let's walk through the documents listed. Item 1. Item 1 is for household members age 18 or older, and only 1 of the IDs listed per person is required. Item 2. Copies of Social Security cards for all household members, including children. Item 3. Please make sure you provide the most recent statement for all bank accounts for all household members. It is important to include all pages, which means that if your statement pages are number 1 of 6, all 6 pages must be submitted, even if the page is blank. Item 4. most recent tax return or tax transcript. The tax return must be signed, and again, this would be for each adult in the household. Item 5, most recent pay stub. If you are no longer working, then a copy of the last pay stub you received will be required. Item 6, this is for business owners or those who are self-employed only. Item 7, if you are receiving unemployment, please submit a copy of your most recent unemployment benefit statement. Number 8, please submit a letter from your employer or most recent employer verifying lost wages, being furloughed, or termination due to COVID-19. If you are not able to contact your employer, please provide a written and signed statement explaining why you are not able to provide this document. Item 9. If you receive any source of income other than employment or self-employment that is not listed in the documents above, please provide the most recent statement. For example, reoccurring monetary gifts from a family member is considered income and will be calculated as income if reflected on bank statements. Item 10. If you are not able to provide any of the documents listed above, please provide a signed statement explaining why. Number 7. Applicants are required to submit a copy of their active lease signed by the tenant and landlord. And lastly, number 8. The landlord participation agreement is included in this document. It must be completed by the landlord, as well as a copy of the landlord's most recent W-9 form must be submitted. Before moving on to page 2, please note that all household members 18 years of age or older will have to initial each page of the application. Although there are only 2 spaces to initial, the additional adults, if more than 2, can initial below or beside the initial lines. Page 2. Please complete this page by providing your name and address. The co-applicant refers to any other adult in the household. If there are more than 2 adults in the household, the third adult can be listed on the following page. Please also provide your landlord's information. Page 3. The first 2 sections are where you will provide the information for the applicant or applicants listed on page 2. The bottom section is where you will fill in the names, relation, age, date of birth, marital status, disabled status, and employment status of all other members of the household. Page 4. Please select the race of the head of household, as well as the ethnicity in the section below. The eligibility question is verifying that at least one member of the household was financially affected by COVID-19. If your answer is no, you are not eligible for this program. For each member of the household that was financially affected by COVID-19, you are required to provide additional information. If more than one household member's income was affected by COVID-19, page 5 provides additional sections for their information. Page 5. If only one household member's income has been affected by COVID-19, please mark NA in these sections. Page 6. The first section is verifying if you are receiving unemployment benefits. If you are, check the yes box. And be sure to attach a copy of your most recent benefit statement. If you are not collecting unemployment, check no and explain why. Property information. Please answer yes or no. Rent information. Please note that you are required to provide past due utility bills if you are requesting utility assistance, as well as the W-9 for the utility company. Past due internet bills are also eligible. Forecast of your future financial situation due to COVID-19 through December 30th, 2020. If you believe your household will need financial assistance for rent through the end of December, please provide a brief description as to why. For example, you may have recently been employed after being unemployed for a period of time, but will need a financial assistance while you are recovering financially from not being employed or underemployed previously as a result of COVID-19. The last section, on page 6, is required to determine eligibility. Page 7. This page is where you will list each household member and their current source of income, if any, as well as their pay rate and payment basis. If a household member does not currently have income, we ask that you still list their name and mark NA under each category. Asset information. If you own property, please fill in the asset information section. If not, please mark NA. Page 8. This page requires that you list the types and sources of any household assets for all household members. Page 9. This page, which certifies that all the information provided in the application is true to the best of your knowledge, must be understood and signed by all household members 18 years or older. It must also be notarized. Page 10. This page certifies that you have not received a duplication of benefits to assist with rent or utility payments. Please read this form carefully. Individual copies of this form must be completed by each member of the household 18 years or older. Therefore, if 3 household members are 18 years or older, you will need to print 3 copies of this form. It must also be notarized. Page 11. The self-certification form must be completed by each member of the household 18 years or older individually. Therefore, please print 1 copy for each household member 18 years or older. This page must also be notarized. Page 12. The conflict of interest disclosure must be signed by all household members 18 years or older. Only 1 copy of this form per household is required. Page 13. The notice of collecting Social Security numbers for government purposes disclosure must be signed by all household members 18 years or older. Only 1 copy of this form is required per household. Page 14. The lead-based paint disclosure can be signed by the primary applicant listed on page 2. It is not required that all household members sign this form. Page 15. The authorization for release of information form must be signed by all household members 18 years or older. Only 1 copy of this form is required per household. Page 16. The grant agreement is to be completed by the applicant and co-applicant listed on page 2. The grant amount refers to the total amount being requested. This includes past due rent payments and rent payments due through December 30th, 2020, as well as past due utility payments. Please note that the maximum allowable grant amount is $10,000. This page must be notarized. The landlord instructions and agreement and the following page, which is a landlord participation agreement, is for your landlord to review and complete. Please provide these 2 pages directly to your landlord to complete, as they are required upon submittal of your application. Once you have completed your application and have made copies of all the required documents for all household members, as well as collected the completed landlord agreement from your landlord, you are then ready to submit your application in person. Application submittal will take place at the gymnasium located at 2501 Coral Springs Drive, beginning Monday, October 26th through Friday, October 30th. Please refer to this section for submittal dates and times. Don't forget to wear your mask and practice social distancing.